Right, so let's go back to our code. Okay, and now I want to go to app.js because that's where our initial route is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component. All right, and so let me go to our files, and inside the components folder, let me create a new folder, and let's name this folder util, which basically stands for utilities. And inside this folder, I'm going to create a component that's going to be scroll to top.js. Okay, and here let me first create a simple component. All right, so I have created this simple component that is scroll to top, that says scroll to top. So I've created this simple like scroll to top component. Okay, and basically it's currently returning this React fragment. So now our motive is that whenever I go from one route to another, I want to start the another route from the top and not from the bottom, right? So in order to make that happen, I need to keep track of the every route change. Okay, so every time the route is being changed, we need to keep track of it. So for that, what I'm going to do is what I need to do is I need to add a use effect hook here. So use effect, right? And we need to use a hook from React Router DOM called use location. Okay, so import use location from React Router DOM. All right, let's just save this. Now let's just initialize the use location hook. So I'm going to say use, I'm going to say const location is equals to use location. Use location, we can't check what this location has currently because currently this component is not being exported anywhere. So we need to export it as import it in our app.js first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import scroll to top component. All right, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this I'm going to enclose everything that is here inside this scroll to top component so that every route is going to respond to this component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enclose scroll to top, enclose everything inside the scroll to top. Yes, so let's just copy this, cut that, and let me paste it inside here. Let's just save this. So here one thing you need to understand is once a component encloses some JSX or some other components, you can bring these contents inside this component, right, as a prop, and that prop name is going to be children. All right, so basically this children prop is going to be all these contents that are here, and you can actually add this children over here. All right, so basically what we're doing is we are enclosing like these components, right, inside our scroll to top component. So basically scroll to top component is going to be like a kind of like a container component that's going to enclose every other components. Now if I console log location, I'm going to get its value. So let's just go back to our project and inspect this page. You can inspect any page that you want, but now here you can see that you are getting this object from scroll to top. Okay, and this is basically our location object. And if you open this, now you have this few things over here. You have this hash, you have this key, but you have this path name as well, right? And this path name is currently our slash books, which is this path name over here. And if you go to a different path, let's say home, you're getting a path name of slash, which is our root. And if you go to like cart, you'll get a path name of cart. So now here you can see that every time when we are like moving from one route to another, this path name is getting changed, and we can use this path name in order to track our route change. Okay, so if I go back to my code now, instead of just console logging this, what I want to do is I want to add a use effect hook. All right, and inside the dependency array I am going to add path name, location dot path name. All right, so every time the location dot path name is going to get, so every time when our path name is going to be changed, this use effect hook is going to get called. And inside this, what we need to do is we need to add the functionality to set our screen to top, which can be done by using window dot scroll to, and inside this we have to give two values, which is 0 and 0. So if you save this, now let's go back to our home, go down, and if you click this add to cart, the next screen is going to start from the top. There you go, guys. This means that this window dot scroll to function is like taking effect. So this is a function that is kind of like by default in JavaScript. We get the window object, like the window object has this function that is going to take our screen to the top. Okay, and we were basically using this function or a method every time the location is being changed, and the location changes when we go from one route to another. So now every time I go, like even if I go to books page, go down, and if I click on add to cart, the add to cart page, the book detail page is going to get started from the top. All right, so the scroll to top function is also done. Now the next functionality that I want to pick up is this email, this the footer email that we have here. Now we have set their we have added the, we have created their front end, but we haven't actually created the functionality such that when you when you like submit this form, so the email is going to get sent to the owner of the site. So now let's start to pick up that functionality. So let me go back to our code, and currently let's just remove everything that we have here, and let's bring back our footer component, which is inside our pages, no, which is inside our components, layouts, footer. Yeah, let's bring this component. There we go. Now in order to like send this message to an actual email, we need the help of an email service. Now there are different email services out there that can handle your email functionality, but in this project what we are going to use is email.js. So if I go to email.js, and you have this site, let's go here and let's just sign in. Like if you're using it for the first time, you need to sign up. Like it's pretty straightforward, and like I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in now. All right, let me add the credentials quickly. Now once you get signed in, and once you like log into this email.js, you will get redirected to our dashboard. Okay, so the dashboard kind of looks like this. So first what we want to do is we need to add a new service over here. So let's just click that, and like there are different services out here. The one that we are interested in is this Gmail, because this is what we're going to use, and we're gonna connect account. So you can connect your own account. Okay, uh, yeah, let's just continue with this, and let's just create service. Now this will create a new service. Now you might end up with some errors. You might not be able to like create the service. You might end up in some error, because when I first used this service, I also got the same kind of like an error. Like if you're not getting error, then that's fine, but like if you're getting an error, you can try it again and again. Like I tried it again, and like that error was gone. I don't know why I got that error, but like eventually I was able to create a service. And you also have this service ID that you can see. Now we're going to need this service ID later on, but for now, uh, since you have created this email service, let's go to our email templates, and let's create a new template. So this template is basically going to be the email template that's going to come to our email. once the user like submits this form. Okay, so here in our subject I'm going to say bookworm query, something like this. Okay, and in our content I'm going to remove this hello part. You got a new message from, and instead of this from name I'm going to add user name, and the message here is okay. And here inside our reply to I'm going to add user email. Okay, so these will basically be like, this will basically serve as the name value that our inputs are going to have. Okay, and this is going to be our basic default template. So let's just save this, let's just hit okay, and there you go guys, we have created this default template. And currently we have also like, you also have this ID over here, and we're going to need this ID as I said earlier as well. So now that we have created an email service and an email template, now what we need to do is integrate this service with our React application. All right, such that every time the user fills this field and submits this form, this like form along with the information should go to our email. All right, so in order to connect our email.js service with our React application, we have a documentation for that. So let me go to docs, and let's just go below. You have this React simple example, and this example is more than enough to set our email functionality. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do in our footer is add a name attribute to all the input fields right here. Okay, so we need to add a name attribute, which is name right here, and inside the attribute we need to pass the exact value that we have added here. Okay, so for the username we have to pass this username value, for the message we have to pass this message value, and for the user email we have to pass this user email value. Otherwise you won't get this otherwise you won't get the data that you have sent from the front end over here in this template. All right, so let me go back to our code, and in our name field let's just add user underscore name. In our email let's create the name attribute and say user underscore email, and in our query let's just add a name of message. All right, and these are basically the same values that are there in our template. All right, okay, that's the first thing that we have to do. Next we have to target this DOM element. And in React, the way you target a DOM element is with the help of a useref hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call use ref hook. All right, and I'm going to initialize it. So I'm going to say const, and for the variable I'm just going to name it form, because we're going to target the form element. And I'm going to set that to use ref, and opening and closing brackets. And in our form tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a prop here of ref, and inside this I'm going to add form. Okay, with this what we are doing is we are targeting this form element inside this form value. So now if you actually like console.log form dot current, let's see what this gives us. Okay, so let's just save that. Let's go back to our project. Let me inspect this page. Let's just go to console. You can actually see that we are getting this element form over here. All right, we are getting this entire element, and so this means that form.current currently has this entire element over here. So we have basically targeted our form with the help of use ref. All right, so this is kind of like what you do in JavaScript. Like, so if you so you might have done this in JavaScript when you're using normal vanilla JavaScript. You do this with the help of document.querySelector, or like document.getElement by ID, or document.getElement by class name, or something like that, right? But in React, you do that with the help of useRef. All right, so first you have to like call the useRef hook from React. You need to initialize it in a in a in a variable, and use that variable as the value for the ref prop in order to get like any DOM element. All right, and the reason why we need this element is because we need this in order to like use the email.js. All right, so now that we have created our name attribute, and we have also like targeted our form element, so now we can use this email.js.sendForm function in order to send out email from our application. All right, so in order to do that, let's just import, like let's just first install this email.js browser. So let me go back to my code. Let's go to another terminal. Okay, here let's just say npm install at email.js slash browser. Okay, you can copy it from here if you're not sure about the typos, and let's just hit enter. All right, now that the dependency is installed, we are going to import it here. So I'm going to say import email.js from, and I'm going to say at email.js slash browser, and we're going to use this email.js, and we're going to use a method from this email.js, which is email.js dot send form, right, in order to send our. All right, so in our form tag, what we need to do is we need to create an on submit event handler. All right, and here basically I'm going to say handle submit. All right, so let's just create this function. So const handle submit is equals to, and this handle submit is basically going to get an event object, and you can use this event object in order to prevent the default behavior of this form, which is like refreshing the page once you submit. So I'm going to say prevent default. All right, so and let me also add a console.log submit submit in order to check whether this function is working or not. So basically what we did was we just created an event handler of on submit, and so now once this form gets submitted, which is like once you click on this button, what happens is that this event is going to get fired up, and once this event gets fired up, this function is going to get called, and this function is going to get an event object because like uh, it's coming from an event, and we can use this event object in order to prevent the default behavior of this form, and basically the default behavior is refreshing the page. So we can like stop that issue with the help of this code, and basically we are console logging submit text as well. So let's go back to our code, and if I just hit on submit here, currently nothing is happening. So let's go back to our code, and I think the reason why is because we have added an anchor tag over here. Okay, so since we are inside this form, we should not add an anchor tag. Instead we need to add an input tag with a type of submit. We need to remove this href, and for the class name, that's fine. We need to remove this closing tag and add a closing tag over here, and we need to add a value prop of submit. So now if you save this, like there won't be any change because the input of type submit is basically going to give you a button as well, but this button, but in this case, now this button is going to respond to this on submit handler. So now if you click this button, the on submit handler is going to work. So if you click this, there you go guys, you're getting this submit text over here. So basically once you submit this form, like, this handle submit is working. Now instead of this console log, what we need to do here is we need to send the email, the input values to our email. All right, so first we need few things in order to do that. And as I said earlier, we need the service ID and the template ID. So let me create a variable here that says service ID, and let's just set it to this service ID over here. So let me copy this ID from here. Okay, and yeah, let's just paste that over here. Let's add another value that says template ID, and let's set that to, yeah, this one right here. Let's just copy this and paste it over here. And the final thing that we need is our public key, which we can get it from our account tab. So if you basically go to your account, you can get the public key over here. So just copy it, and let's create another variable. So let's just say const public key is equals to, let's just paste that key over here. And now since you have these three values along with this form, you can actually send the email. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say email.js dot send form. All right, and send form is basically a function that's going to take in four things. The first one is service ID. All right, and the second one is template ID. Remember, we have created the service and the template, right? And this template is going to get used because we have used the template ID of this template. So this template is going to get used. The third one would be form.current, which is basically going to target this component, like this element, this form element. So I'm going to say form.current. And the fourth one is our public key. So public key. All right, so with the help of these four attributes, the send form method is going to send our template to our email, to the desired email. Okay, and that email is going to be whatever, like, Gmail you have connected over here. Currently I have connected my email, so the email is going to get sent here. Okay, all right, so now once this happens, I'm going to get a response which I can catch it with the then method. So here I'm going to get a response, and we can actually console log it. So console.log and add response.text, right? And if there is any error, we can get with the help of catch method. And inside this, I'm going to add an error, right? And I'm going to console log this as well. So console.log error.text, something like this. So let's just try this and see if this works or not. If this works, then we should get this response.text. If this does not work, then we should get this error.text. So let's just see, let's just check. So let's refresh this page, and now let me add a name here. Let's say John, right? And email would be john@gmail.com. And the query, let's just add this is my query, something like this. All right, now let's just hit the submit button and let's see what we get. So if I click here, okay guys, we are getting this okay as a response, which means that this function this function just worked, and we might have gotten our email by now. So if I go to my Gmail, if you have added your email, you can check that, and there you go guys, I have got this email over here. If I go inside, and there you go, it's saying you have new message from John, and which is, this is my query that we have, like, that I had currently added it here, right? And yeah, so basically I've got this template that I had created right over here, and like this is what we want basically, and this is what I want basically, right? We are being able to send these values to our email with the help of this template. All right, and like these values, this john.gmail.com, and like this query, like they are being dynamically fetched here, and that's because and the reason is because we have like used the name attribute over here, right, with the same username, user email, and message. And this is the functionality guys, this is what we wanted. The final thing is, whenever I click on the submit button, I want the values to be reset. So for that, what I'm going to do is, below here I'm going to say e dot reset form, and that's going to basically reset our entire form inputs. So if I go back and let's just try it out one last time, let's just say mary at gmail.com. Query would be this is my query, something like this. Let's just hit the submit button. All right, now I'm getting an error that says e.reset form is not, and that I think that is because I've added the wrong method over here. I think it should be reset. Let's just save this and see if this works. Let's add a mary at gmail.com. This is my query. If I click on submit, I think I need to add target in between. This should actually work. Let's go back and try it out again. Let's do this time with John. So John at gmail.com. This is my query. Hit submit. All right guys, now you can see that the values are being reset, and we have also got this okay message, and we should get the email here. There you go, you've got a new message from John, and this is the template. All right guys, now so our email functionality is also done. So I think we are now closing it. We are now reaching the end of this project. The final thing that is left now is to add functionality to this search field. Now that the footer email functionality is done, let's start to work on this search field.